Hi everyone, welcome to episode 6 of my chess rating climb, where I play a game of chess and track my improvement. Right now, I'm sitting at a peak rating of 1532, so let's hop into a 15-minute game and see if I can continue that improvement. Okay, so we got the black pieces, and against e4 we'll play the Scandinavian. Okay, develop the knight, put pressure on the pawn, and they don't bother defending the knight with the pawn, so we'll just take back with the knight here. Okay. So part of the reason that I like this particular Scandinavian line instead of taking back with the queen right away is because normally when you take with the queen, you get tempoed out by this knight, but here our queen is in the middle of the board, but there's no tempo with the knight. So we can continue developing, and we're essentially one tempo ahead of white. So now I can just develop my knight, develop the bishop on the next turn, castle, and we're good to go. C3, interesting. That's not really a very common move in this variation. I suspect that they're just going to want to build a pawn chain and play d4 on the next move, but I don't know, that's not really that intimidating. Yeah, I think I can just develop my bishop to an active diagonal, castle on the next turn, form a battery, and then if they do form the pawn chain and play d4, then we can just we can use our battery to put pressure on that pawn. Yep. So my prediction was correct. Okay, so the question is, do I castle? Or do I play f6 first just as a prophylaxis against any of this this knight hopping? Because after I castle, I don't want this f7 square to be weak. But then again, right now my f7 pawn is protected by my queen, so I don't really think I have anything to worry about. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and castle, with ideas to play e5 on the next move. Okay. So, that's actually looking even better for us, because now, if I take his bishop with my bishop, and he takes back with the queen, presumably, now when I play e5, he can't take my pawn because it's pinned to the queen. Yeah, so that actually looks really good. Let's go ahead and take this, and then we might be able to win a pawn. And if he protects his pawn with his bishop, then we can just apply even more pressure with our bishop. Actually, no, what am I saying? If he protects his pawn with a bishop, then we're going to push our pawn to fork the knight and the queen. Yeah, so that actually doesn't work. Yeah, so it does look like we're going to be winning a pawn. I don't really see how the opponent could get out of it. Well, actually, he could play c4 here to counterattack my queen. In which case, what would I do? Yeah, I didn't consider c4, and he does play it. So what do I actually do here? Let's see, if I check... Oh, actually, I need to consider two different checks, okay? So I don't think checking with queen a5 works, because that just walks into blocking with the bishop, in which case I just have to move my queen again. But what happens if I check with my bishop? Let's see, if I check with my bishop, he blocks with his bishop, or he could also block with his knight. Okay, check, block, take. If he takes with his queen, then that relinquishes defense of his c-pawn, in which case we've won a pawn. If he takes with his knight, then that relinquishes defense of his d-pawn, in which case we've won a pawn. So I think the only way out of that is for him to move his king out of check. So if I'm calculating correctly, he either has to move his king, in which case he can't castle, or lose a pawn. And either way, I think that's good for us. Yep, okay, so we can't castle now. Well, I do need to move my queen still. I think... Let's see, I was about to say I can move my queen to e6 to threaten this e4 fork on the next turn, but then he just forks me in the same regard. So that doesn't work. So where can I move my queen? I think I can just move my queen all the way back to d7, just to maintain this battery, right? Yeah, I really want to maintain this battery so that his d-pawn remains pinned to his queen. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And now, even if he pushes, I don't have to move the knight because the pawn is still pinned, and then I still have ideas of bringing my rook to the open file and threatening this fork again. Yep, saw that coming. Okay, so like I said, don't have to move my knight just yet. I can, however, just bring my rook to the open file. And now this pawn fork is still on the cards. Oh, you know what? I actually did just realize that I dropped my h-pawn. So maybe... Yeah, that's kind of... Oh, but I think my opponent actually just gave me an out. Because... Let's see, what happens if I play f5 here? If I play f5, he can actually take my knight and hit my queen. So, okay, I play f5, he takes my knight, I take his queen, he takes my pawn with check. Oh no, he wouldn't take my pawn, he would have to take my queen, obviously. But he would take my queen with check is the point. Okay, he would take my queen with check, disallowing me from taking his knight, so I would be down a piece in that variation. Yeah, so I can't play f5, I would lose a piece. So I have to move my knight. Oh, dang, yeah, so it looks like I am actually the one losing a pawn here. Yeah, because this pawn on e5 is only defended once. Dang, this is actually really tough. Okay, if I move my knight to a5, is it getting trapped? I don't think so, because my bishop blockades his b-pawn, but that is looking pretty dangerous. It's either knight a5 or bishop b8. Bishop b8 just looks abysmal, though. I might be able to reroute my knight from b8 to a6, and then back over to c5 later. I don't know, that does look really passive. I think it is the safest, though. Yeah, I gotta play knight b8 here. And this e5 pawn, I'm just realized, is actually tactically defended. Like, he can't take it with the knight, because if he does, all I have to do is slide my queen over to introduce that pin, and he loses his knight on the next turn. And like, even if he defends his knight with the bishop, I could just pressure it with the pawn. So he can't actually take this pawn here. Yep. Okay, so that does just walk into queen e7, and there's no way for him to guard that. Yeah, so the question is, if he defends his knight with his bishop, do I pressure it with the pawn, or do I just move my bishop back? I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Yeah, he's definitely realizing his mistake. And protecting his knight with the pawn doesn't even work either, because I would just pressure it with the pawn regardless. Okay, so now, pressuring with the knight, pressuring with the bishop or the pawn? That's the question. Which one is more accurate? Okay, does he have any counterplay anywhere? Because he can't move his knight in a way that also protects his queen, right? Yeah, I think I just got to go with the pawn here. Reason being, because let's say on the next turn I take his knight with a pawn and he takes with the bishop. Well, then I can just reintroduce my pressure with my bishop. But yeah, let's go ahead and pressure with the pawn first. Oh, actually, you know what? I just realized it might actually be better to pressure with my knight first, just to get it more into the game. Yeah, let's actually do that. Because my knight was on a really bad square anyway, so, you know, this move serves the dual purpose of rerouting my knight to a better square and also pressuring that piece. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Wow. Huh. I cannot believe I didn't see that. Wow, so he did have an out. So now his queen is pinning my knight to my king. So he simultaneously got out of the pin and also counterpinned my piece. Oh, yuck, okay. So how do we deal with this? Oh man, that is a disgusting move. Because now, let's say I counterattack his queen. I consider playing g6 here, but my f-pawn is unguarded. If I play g6, he just takes my f-pawn with his queen. Oh man, that was a good move. Yeah, I didn't see that. Did not see that. Yep, that is why I should have played f6, for that very reason. Oh man. Oh, you know what? This is actually kind of funny. I did just realize that this knight is also pinned to a checkmate threat. Oh, wow. So he still can't move his knight. He still can't move his knight. Oh, let's see. Actually, hang on a second. What if he moves his knight to d3? Then that wouldn't be checkmate anymore. If he moves his knight to d3, I'm not threatening checkmate because I would move my queen to e2, king moves back, and then queen e1 is no longer checkmate because the knight's guarding the mating square. Oh, yuck. Okay. Yeah, how do we get out of this? Okay, so here's the deal. If I pressure his knight with a pawn to get it to go somewhere that doesn't guard the mate square, and he moves his knight here to d3, then that tempos out my bishop. Yeah, so I think I actually just have to move my bishop back here. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So the knight can't take my pawn. It can't take my knight. Basically, the knight can't move anywhere except for d3 because that's the only where that the knight can move that guards the mating square. Interesting. So now if I pressure the knight with the pawn, what happens? Let's see. This knight is guarded 1, 2, 3 times, and it's attacked 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Oh, so I can still just take the knight. Okay, so bishop takes. Let's see, bishop takes, rook takes. No, that still doesn't work. Because my knight is still pinned to my king, that's the problem. And if I move my king over, he takes my knight with check. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to move a little faster. Okay, yeah, I gotta kick this queen out. The knight's still pinned to the mate threat, unless of course he moves it to d3. Okay, so here's the thing. My knight's no longer pinned, and he's dropped the defense of his knight, right? So now his knight's only guarded twice and attacked many times, right? So now we can just kind of force the issue. Take with the bishop. And now his queen is no longer guarded, so he either has to, he has to move the queen, and I can just take back with the rook, and now I've won a piece. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yep, I didn't see that. But can't I just block with the knight? Yeah, see, yeah, if I block with the knight, he takes my bishop, I take his rook, he takes my knight, and still forks my other 2 rooks. Okay, yeah, this is not looking good. Yeah, I miscalculated these lines at some point. Oh, boy. If I block with the bishop, he takes my rook, I take his bishop, he takes mine. Okay. Yeah, this is not looking good. How do I get out of this? Okay. Yeah, I think I gotta block with the knight. Yeah, I think I had a tactic to win a piece somewhere, but I messed up the calculation. Okay. But I don't think that was his best way to do it. I don't think he should have captured my knight, because now I can just take back with the bishop and guard my rook. Yeah, he messed that up. He could have won a piece. He could have won more material. I think he chose the wrong piece to take back with. That was the problem. Okay. So now let's put my rook on the same line as the king, and now that the position's simplified, I need to play a lot faster. All right, let's centralize the bishop. Activate the king. Oh, my God. I cannot believe I walked into that. Oh, man. Just a time scramble. I'm playing too fast. Okay, so now we're in a rook and pawn endgame. Oh, my word, I can not believe I just did that. Yeah, I still had 3 minutes. I shouldn't have... Okay, whatever. I had 3 minutes. I shouldn't have been playing so quickly. All right, well, I'm threatening the fork here with my rook. Let's see, if I play c5, he can en passant, and I take on c6. Yeah, I think I have to do that. Okay, if he doesn't take en passant, I mean, he just about has to take en passant, because if he doesn't, then I can work on creating this pawn chain and protecting my c-pawn. Okay. This is probably a draw in endgame now, I'm guessing. I cannot believe I walked into that bishop fork. Or the pawn fork against my bishop. Oh my god. Let's see, I think I need to work on, I don't know, maybe checking the king, having it move over here, off to the side, and then offering a rook trade with my rook on the c4 square so that I can make a pass pawn. I need to offer a rook trade in such a way that allows my b pawn to turn into a pass pawn. That's the plan. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just really salty right now. If I'm being perfectly honest, I just oh man, I was winning up until I walked into that pawn fork with the bishop. I was up a piece, even though I played that middle game probably horribly. Like there had to be some kind of tactic that won a piece that I just missed. So I'll definitely have to go in the game review. Okay, interesting. So now, let's see. If I take this pawn, there's no way for me to protect it. Let's see. I think I have to deliver a check first. Yeah, I need to. Let's see. Deliver a check because the king has to move here. In which case, I could march my king over. Really? He moves his king the other way. That kind of surprises me. You would think he would want to move his king toward the action here. Okay. Should I take or should I push? Yeah, if I push and he attacks from behind. Yeah, either way, whether I push or whether I take, there's no way for me to protect that pawn. Yeah, I think I just need to slide my rook over and attack this pawn, encouraging him to take. That way I take back with my a pawn and create the pass pawn. Yeah, let's do that. And I'll pre-move the take back here. So is there any way for me to skewer and force a rook trade? Let's see. What happens if I go here? His king can't move there, or the. Well, his king can move there, but then I just force a rook trade. So, yeah, if I check here, his king has to go back somewhere. So I'm basically discouraging his king from infiltrating into my territory. Yeah, and I think I can just keep marching my pawn. Because his king is too far away to infiltrate. And yeah, now I can just move my king over. And if he wants to use his king to eat these pawns, that's not going to work because all I have to do is slide my rook down to protect it. And now my king can just march my pass b pawn all the way up. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I don't think this works because now I can skewer, right? Let's see. Let's skewer here. Take here. Pressure this rook a little bit. Yeah, I would guess that this is still probably a drawn endgame, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Honestly, now that I think about it, he might have rook sacrificing ideas. If he sacrifices this rook, my king's too slow and I would end up having to sacrifice my rook to stop his pass pawn. Oh, yuck. Yeah, I'm guessing this is drawn. That's my guess. Yep. What did I just say? Okay. Let's see, can I skewer the king first? Okay, so take the rook. Okay, is there any way for me to win this? King over, pawn down, king over. Let's see. Yeah, my king can't get close enough. Yeah, I'm going to have to use my rook to skewer at some point, at which point I lose my rook, and I trade my king, or I don't trade, but I use my king to eat his pawn, and he uses his king to eat my pawn. Okay. All right, fair enough. Let's actually push my pawn up, though, just so his king has further to travel. after it takes my rook after I sacrifice it. Oh boy. I cannot believe I fumbled this game so hard, man. Oh, that's crazy. Oh gosh, let's see. Is he going to be able to protect his pawn? No, he can't. Because it's a flank pawn, so even if I can't actually capture this pawn, it's still a drawn in game. Because there's no way for him to move his king in such a way that that allows him to promote. Yep. And draw by stalemate. Oh man, I cannot believe I fumbled that so much. Okay, yeah, I have got to review this game to see where I messed up. Okay, yeah, would you look at this? Okay, so this was pretty much drawn. Like the entire endgame was a draw, so I was correct about that. But this middle game was just wild. Okay, so I was advantaged somewhere here, right? So this part of the game is when I had that tactic to win the piece, but then I didn't seize on that tactic and allowed him to create an advantage. And then right here is where I took with the wrong piece and allowed him to skewer my rooks with his bishop. But then right here is when he took the wrong piece. So yeah, this is, okay, yeah. So we're definitely going to be reviewing this. Okay, all this is book, fine. Really? So I wasn't supposed to check with the bishop there. I was actually supposed to check with the queen. Okay, yeah, I need to know about this. Okay, so check with the queen. He blocks. Then what? Oh, then I don't have to move my queen. I just block here. Okay. Then he castles. Take. 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 And now I'm up a pawn. Okay, interesting. Move here. Okay, why can't I take the knight? That's an inaccuracy, because he checks here and then wins one of his pawns back. Okay, fair enough. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so I actually have seen this line before. Or rather, I've been in this position before, right here. I've been in this position. And I've also been in this position, c4, but I couldn't remember what the theory was. Yeah, I was hesitant to check with the queen, but I failed to realize that if he blocks with the bishop, I didn't have to move my queen, I can just block with my bishop. Okay, so that does put me at a slight advantage. Okay, but that's not what happened. Check there. He moves his king, that's good. Put my queen back. Okay, so where do I actually have the opportunity? Yeah, so that was the blunder. That was the blunder from my opponent, and I knew that I could win a piece, but I didn't punish him for it. Okay. Whoa. Hang on, what in the world? So the computer says just push F6 right away. Really? That's... Oh my gosh, I see it now. Okay. So if he takes my queen, and I take his queen, he loses a piece. He loses a piece because this rook is threatening checkmate. Supported by the bishop. Wow, okay, that's part of it that I didn't see. I didn't see that. Okay. So push F6. If he takes my queen, I take his queen, and he has to stop checkmate with his bishop, and then I take his knight. So he still loses a piece in that line. Oh my gosh, yeah, I definitely didn't see that. I didn't see that the rook was aiming at the king, supported by the bishop threatening checkmate. Wow, okay. But even still, I still have the opportunity to win a piece. Okay, so he supports his knight. And then here, okay, so the knight move was actually correct. And the coach says, now your opponent can't stop you from winning material if you make the right moves, but I didn't make the right move. So right there, that's where I messed up. Right there, that's where I messed up. Okay, so I should have just added pressure to the queen. Okay, he takes my queen, or he takes my pawn with his queen. Okay, then I take here, take. Okay, so how is this any different? Oh, that's why it's different. Okay, here's the difference, guys. Here's the difference. It's because this bishop is now supporting the mating square. Whereas in the previous line, I moved the bishop back to d5. That bishop move made all the difference. Okay, because now, yes, he's skewering my rooks, but it doesn't matter. Because all I have to do is take this pawn, and if he takes my rook, all I have to do is slide this rook over. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. He takes here. Oh, okay, yeah. So in this line, I just have two minor pieces for the rook. Okay, so I have a bishop and a knight for one of his rooks, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. Okay, so material is actually even, counting up all the pawns and pieces. Okay, but I have a bishop and a knight in exchange for his rook and pawn. Okay, fair enough. Oh, my word. I cannot believe I did all that. That's crazy. Okay, yeah, so that was the miss. And I saw this pawn move, this g6 move, but it was a turn too late. Okay, so that was actually still the best move, though. Okay, yeah, and that was the blunder. So what should I have done here? Okay, so I was just supposed to move my rook out of the way? Okay, yeah, so that way, if he takes this rook and I take back with my king, I still have two pieces for the rook in that line. Okay, fair enough. Oh, my word. And then here, let's see. Okay, so I was winning here, but then right there, that was the mistake. That was the mistake. I was trying to give my bishop an escape square because the thing is, I saw that he was threatening to trap my bishop, but I failed to realize that that pawn move was also a fork against the king, right? I saw the trap potential, but I didn't see the fork potential. So my idea in moving that pawn was I was just trying to give my bishop an escape square, but yeah, I failed to realize that pawn move, when he played c5, came with check, right? And so it turned it from a winning position for black to a totally even position, because it allowed me to win 2 pawns for the bishop. Okay, so I should have just moved my c pawn up. Yeah, okay. Wait, no. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, it wanted me to move it 2 squares to c5. That way he en passants, and the game goes on with me up a bishop. And it allows my bishop to escape out this way. Okay. Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, I am not sure if I gained rating points. Actually, it looks like that draw kept me at 1532. Yeah, I'm still at 1532. So I neither gained nor lose rating points for that game. But yeah, I mean, I am getting at the level where I can't keep making trivial mistakes like that. Like, I have to tighten up my play if I'm going to continue to improve. Okay, so yeah, that was definitely a very instructive game. If you've made it this far with me in the analysis, I appreciate you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you in tomorrow's game. Bye, y'all.